on an all-new list, the fun way to get seriously fit arms.
I recommend doing this without weights.
Plus, we find the best beaches across America.
Behind this, they're wild ponies.
But first, the evolution of the emoji as language.
Later on is when I realized the power and the magnitude that this visual language would have.
It's your life, it's your list, and it starts right now.
Hey everyone, I'm Jimmy Rhodes.
And I'm Christina Guerrero. Okay, you see so many of them every day, you may hardly even notice them anymore. Yet they have a profound impact on much of our communication throughout the day.
We're talking about emojis, those cute little image-based characters that have become an integral part of texts, emails, and social media, whether for business or just for fun.
Yes, we spoke to the co-designer of the original set for a behind-the-scenes look into the emoji. And that's our featured story at the top of the list.
When you can't find the right words, sometimes the best way to say it is with an emoji. These image-based characters first appeared in Japanese mobile phones in the late 90s, but it wasn't until Apple added the official emoji keyboard to the iPhone that these would explode in popularity.
As the emojis started to roll out, really became part of everyday culture around the globe. And it continues to do so.
And behind Apple's original set of emojis is one Latina who made it all happen. Meet Angela Guzman, the former Apple intern who co-designed them back in 2008. She gives us a behind-the-scenes look at the emoji, starting with what started it all.
My director was like, here, this is your assignment. You're gonna draw some emoji. He's like, do you know what an emoji is? And I'm like, I better say the truth because I don't know.
She was early into her internship, and not only was she unfamiliar with the emoji, but the iPhone device as well.
As soon as my manager saw that I had a flip phone, he's like, please get that away. Here's an iPhone. And I was like, oh, sweet.
With the assignment in place, it was time to get started on the process. She was paired up with a mentor, Raymond Sepulveda, and was given a 3-month deadline to complete as many emojis as possible.
We based them heavily on our own personal take. So we knew we had to make a heart, for example, but the shape of the heart or the exact color of the heart was really kind of up to us. It was very spontaneous. And really fun as a collaboration to select these pieces.
In the end, between food, faces, even a smiling pile of poo, they created close to 500 emojis.
At the time, I was like, okay, these are really cool images. Later on is when I realized the power and the magnitude that this visual language would have.
The emoji revolutionized the way we communicate, a testament to its resounding impact and success.
I think emojis have allowed us to connect and communicate globally, regardless of our native tongue.
And we see them everywhere too, from apparel to toys. They even got their own movie in 2017 titled The Emoji Movie.
Aw, snap! Ow.
When I see them like in toys or on cookies, I'm just always so surprised in a fun and kind of giggly type of way.
Today's collection consists of thousands and continues to expand.
That's the evolution of a language, right? Like even how we speak. Words sometimes have multiple meanings and evolve through time. So it's really fascinating to see how these tiny little icons have become part of our global language.
Your inside look into the expressive and colorful world of the emoji is at the top of the list.
Want this to be the summer you go sleeveless and feel great about your arms without lifting weights? Hadi D. Jamal says it's a farewell to arms that aren't awesome with the flamenco workout.
Summer's coming. That means it's time to break out the tank tops and show off those guns.
And when we can show them off as strong, it sends a subconscious message that we are powerful and accomplished and capable of providing safety.
Coco Cabral, the Flamenco Fitness MD, shares 3 moves to help you spread your wings. For starters, uplift into graceful arms.
A lot of people want firm arms, but they want a more fluid look instead of a bulky look. I recommend doing this without weights.
Spread your arms out shoulder height with your elbows a little bent. neck long.
And imagine a falcon comes and grabs your elbows and takes flight so that your elbows come up towards the ceiling.
Then rotate your elbows back towards the floor. Make sure not to lift your shoulders to your neck.
And do 4 reps of 8 times each to get these nice uplifted arms.
Next, tighten the triceps.
Our bodies are built to use up the fat overall in the whole body all at once. So let's take a look at an arm exercise that actually uses the whole body.
Get into a wide stance, arms at shoulder height, and bend the knees.
We are using the legs while we bring the hands into the chest, and then lengthen the legs while we push out with effort on these hands.
Put on your favorite song and do this move for the duration.
And that will give your body the time that it needs to use up fat in the whole body so that you can eventually reveal the arm work underneath.
Finally, push into arm power.
It's really important to support our arm work with back strengthening and back work.
Get your arms up at shoulder height again and imagine they are wings of a bird of prey.
And you feel a gust of wind blow up underneath these wings and you push down against that wind.
Then open up your wings and push back down and bring your arms close to your sides and do 4 sets of 8 reps.
Birds of prey have proud chests, so as they bring their wings down, their chest is lifting.
Whipping those wings into shape, flamenco style.
The official start of summer is less than 2 weeks away, but let's face it, in our minds, summer is in full swing, which is why Jackie Daker is going to check out some of the best beaches across America.
Setting up shop for a day at the beach is what summer's all about.
You can build sandcastles, and we all love water. It's also therapeutic. Walking along the beach and looking at the waves, kind of let your thoughts go and relax.
We spoke with coastal expert and professor at Florida International University, Stephen Leatherman, aka Dr. Beach, to learn some must-visit beaches across America. Starting with Coast Guard Beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
It's historic. It was first discovered by Champlain in 1605. We got maps going out to 1605 of this beach, named for the big white Coast Guard station on the glacial cliff. And then you see the sand spits in the harbor there.
He says the water's a little chilly, but
in early days, you could catch lobsters by hand in the tidal creeks there, and still a lot of lobsters offshore. So I love to eat lobsters when I go to Cape Cod. It is part of the National Seashore, Cape Cod National Seashore. Just spectacular beaches, and it's one of the iconic landscapes in the world. I mean, there's nothing like it.
next, Ocracoke Lifeguard Beach in Ocracoke, North Carolina.
16 miles of pristine, undeveloped beach. Where can you find that these days, right? Look at the sand, fine sand, very soft, very white, very flat beach, gently goes into the ocean, great for swimming. I see people out there surf casting, good for catching fish. Beachcombing, a lot of shells around the beach, but also big sand dunes, and behind this, there are wild ponies. It's just a great place to get away and enjoy nature.
Hop aboard a ferry to get to this beach and stroll the nearby village.
Really quaint B&Bs and inns and great restaurants. This is my favorite getaway beach in America.
Our final stop is Duke Kahanamoku Beach on Hawaii's Oahu Island.
This is named after the famous surfer, Duke Kahanamoku.
It's a part of 2-mile-long Waikiki Beach.
It's sort of the lesser-known part of Waikiki Beach. It's down on the south end, and it's a beautiful beach. It does have surfing, but it also has an area where there's no surf at all, great for children.
We're catching some rays.
You're getting the fresh air and getting away from everything.
At beaches across America.
Coming up on the list, this iconic film is turning 40.
It is one of the most beloved films in all of cinema.
And how comic books are becoming more inclusive.
Back when I was a kid, there weren't a lot of comics featuring black characters.
Plus, what your food labels really mean.
The front of the box is marketing. Skip the marketing and go to the nutrition facts.
That's all next on the list.
Hey YouTube, Jimmy Rhodes from The List, and I know you're right in the middle of watching, but I just wanted to pop in and remind you to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss 1 minute of The List. All right, now back to the show. We're back. Walk down a supermarket aisle and you'll be bombarded with words like natural and non-GMO. But before you assume these items will help you lose weight or be more healthful, look again. Marketing departments tend to shade the truth a bit, so we're sharpening our shopping game and busting label fables.
Labels on our food products are great. The problem is most of us only pay attention to the one on the front.
The front of the box is marketing, and they may twist a few highlights of that product to allure to that part of you that wants to be healthy.
Gym owner and fitness nutrition expert Greg McCoy shares his tips for cracking the code of those labels. And it starts by understanding the buzzwords. Fat-free and organic are the big ones.
Fat-free is going to be less than 1/2 gram of fat per serving.
But oftentimes the serving size is very small, so those 1/2 grams of fat can add up quickly.
So if you've got 1/2 gram of fat in a tablespoon and you eat 4 cups of whatever that might be, you are going to get fat. I think one of the most important things you need to read on the nutrition label is the serving size.
Then there's organic.
The rules still apply, so you can't get around things by buying organic ice cream or organic pizza. Those calories hit just as hard as the non-organic versions.
Next up, Greg says to look for the important items hiding in plain sight. Added sugar, saturated fat, and trans fat.
Trans fat you want to avoid altogether. It has horrible consequences. It has no benefit to you.
He says saturated fat, like a handful of these mixed nuts, are fine, but in moderation.
Saturated fat isn't all that bad for you in moderation. They've removed a lot of the evidence that it's linked to heart disease in the way that we thought it was.
Anything with added sugar should also be avoided, and he says to use caution with the good sugar, like in fruit juice. This 8-ounce glass of apple juice has 28 grams of natural sugar.
The no sugar added, you still need to be aware that can be a significant amount of sugar.
Deciphering the ingredient list is Greg's last tip.
What most people don't know is they're listed in order of what's in the product the most down to what's included the least. It's your first ingredient of this barbecue sauce, high fructose corn syrup, which is something you want to avoid like the plague.
Greg says like any sugar, it can contribute to diabetes and other ill health effects. So the old adage, less is more, applies here.
The less ingredients, usually the better.
Reading past the marketing hype and busting the label fables.
It's Throwback Thursday, but did you know it's also Thoughtfulness Thursday? Yeah, we're making that a thing. It's a day for celebrating folks doing good deeds to help those in need. Here are 3 recent headlines of people proving kindness wins. Coming in at number 1, Tucson, Arizona's Feast is a restaurant that's being praised for their generosity, donating gourmet meals to medical workers, first responders, and the homeless.
Not only is it a gift of food, but it's a gift of making them feel special.
The restaurant started donating the meals when the pandemic began and continues to do so as a way to pay it forward.
We are lucky to have remained in business throughout this, and we have the community to thank for it.
They're accepting food donation requests, and their contact info can be found at eatatfeast.com. At number 2, when Boynton Beach, Florida's Lori Rabior became unconscious at the wheel, a group of Good Samaritans ran into traffic to save her.
I have an elderly woman that is unconscious at the wheel. We got about 3 or 4 people holding her car.
Yeah, I was so grateful for those people. I mean, words can't even express how thankful I am.
Lori suspects her medications caused her to fall unconscious, which led her car to start idling into an intersection. Now, a group of folks physically pushed it to a stop and eventually broke the car window to finally put it into park.
We need more people like this.
Well, she is so right about that. And third on our kindness wins list, Colorado's Janice Kaylor, whose father's Purple Heart medal had long been missing, was recently reunited with her priceless family heirloom.
I'm so grateful to get it back, and I really feel God did have a hand in this.
A client of Grant Winger's Food Pantry Fresh Start Center gave him the Purple Heart so he could find the medal's owner.
People come here for all sorts of different needs, so it's going to be fun to go through and see how we get this back to where it was supposed to be.
So he did some searching, found an article that matched the name on the medal, and reached out to the article's author.
Saying, hey, it sounds like you may know the people that, are in this family. Could you put me in contact with the daughter? And she said, well, that's my sister. So I said, that's perfect. I've got something for her. I've actually got her dad's Purple Heart.
Talk about a remarkable reunion. And those were 3 recent headlines of people proving kindness truly wins. Lots more to come on the list. Stay with us.
We're back. In 1982, Steven Spielberg released a film the world came to know and love, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Now, even though it's one of the most watched films of all time, science fiction, by its nature, is shrouded in a certain kind of mystery. So, here are 3 things you didn't know about E.T. on the hot list.
40 years ago, as if from nowhere, a movie landed in theaters and became an instant classic.
So E.T. came out in 1982, and it is one of the most beloved films in all of cinema. And it's actually 99% certified fresh on the tomato meter on RottenTomatoes.com.
Naz Perez, Rotten Tomatoes correspondent, let us in on 3 things you didn't know about E.T. the Extraterrestrial. First up, the voice of E.T. was a woman who was discovered in a camera store.
So there was a man by the name of Ben Burtt who was a sound engineer on E.T. And this man is an icon, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. This is a man that made the voice of R2-D2, made the lightsaber hum, the pew pew blaster noise, and even the heavy breathing from Darth Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
So Ben Burtt walks into a camera store and he overhears a California housewife by the name of Pat Welsh speaking. She allegedly smoked 2 packs a day, and her really raspy voice led him to walk up to her and ask her to audition for E.T., and the rest is cinematic history.
Good. 1 year later, Pat was hired to voice a bounty hunter for the movie Return of the Jedi. Next up, after E.T.'s success, a sequel was planned, in which E.T.'s true name would be revealed. Sadly, the film never came to life.
Melissa Matheson, who was the writer on the original E.T., Melissa and Spielberg get together and write a 9 to 10 page treatment for a film called E.T. 2 Nocturnal Fears. And the premise of this film is that Elliot and his friends were going to get kidnapped by evil aliens, and E.T. was going to come back to save them. But the biggest bombshell of all in the treatment is that E.T.'s name was actually Zrek. Z-R-E-K.
Next, as happens on many movie sets, a couple props went missing at the end of filming.
So it was very common, especially back in those days, for actors to take a prop from set and keep it at their house. And of course, E.T. is no exception, and Henry Thomas, who plays Elliot in E.T., took home the iconic red sweater with the hoodie that he wears on the flying bicycle scene in E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
But that wasn't the only prop taken from the set.
Drew Barrymore, who plays Gertie, actually took home the red cowboy hat that her character wears, and she now keeps it in her daughter's room as a sweet reminder that she was in the film.
And that's the facts about the classic movie, E.T. on the hot list.
E.T. Phone Home.
We'll be right back.
It's your life, it's your list. We're celebrating Pride Month. Go to thelisttv.com to learn more.
We're back. At long last, entertainment is making an effort to be inclusive, and in some ways you might not expect. We talked to a comic book writer about the art of creating diverse superheroes and how they make everyone more powerful.
I am the knight.
Batman.
I help wherever I'm needed.
Superman.
Hang on to me.
Spider-Man. Notice anything in common?
Huh?
They're all white dudes.
What?
But the characters like Black Panther representing African Americans.
Wakanda forever!
Wonder Woman representing women.
You're just another pathetic man.
And soon, Ms. Marvel representing Muslim Americans. Diverse characters are a super powerful force in comic books.
People deserve to see themselves as heroes.
We sat down with acclaimed comic book creator Andre Owens, who tells us how diversity in comics is changing and why it's so important, starting with inclusion.
Back when I was a kid, there weren't a lot of comics featuring black characters on the stands. You know, you'd see things like Black Panther, but I even as a kid, I wasn't aware that he was black because he wore a mask all the time. But when you see someone that you can identify as the hero that looks like you know, it's inspirational and it's aspirational.
Like the character who inspired Andre, Tyrock from Superboy, starring the Legion of Superheroes.
And it just jumped off the comic book rack to me because there was this guy that looked like me, and he was shaking his fist at Superboy and telling him he's not going to join this group. For me, it was like, wow, here's a guy that looks like me that's standing up to Superboy.
And characters like Professor X from X-Men go beyond racial inclusivity by giving a voice to people with disabilities.
Which something that, see, I wouldn't see that, but it's because he's in a wheelchair. You know, they identify with that character. Having that representation really makes a lot of difference in people's lives.
Next, diversity creates new genres. One of the trendiest, Afrofuturism.
Some people like to call it Black speculative fiction. It's a place where Black creators get to explore the world, showing Black characters surviving in a future.
Afrofuturism is so hot because this unique subgenre makes for groundbreaking media.
My son, it is your time.
That stands out in a great way, and that's sorely needed. And the third reason comic books have a duty towards diversity, they feature stories that teach you about different walks of life.
They're coming from places where the cis white gendered male doesn't know about.
North Star, a character from the X-Men, is one of the first openly gay superheroes in American comic books.
You know, seeing that character, it allowed me to understand a lot about the community.
And that's how diverse comic books make everyone feel like a hero.
Oh, I do love that story. You know, my 8-year-old is just getting into comics, so it's awesome to see so many diverse superheroes.
And you know what? It just makes for better stories, too.
I think so, too. Hey, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us and watching The List. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the show, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss one episode of The List. And over here are a couple more videos just for you.